In the spring of 2016, I was driving home from my cousin's wedding on a two-lane state highway that cut through about 40 miles of farmland with nothing on it. No towns, no gas station, just fields and the occasional dark farmhouse set way back from the road. It was around 1 in the morning, and somewhere in that middle of that empty stretch, my temperature gauge shot into the red, and steam started coming up from under the hood, and I coasted into the gravel shoulder and the engine died, and I would not turn back over. I had maybe 1 bar of signal, enough to text my dad that I broken down somewhere before it dropped to nothing. So I did what you do. I put my hazards on and I locked the doors. I sat there in the dark to wait for morning or for a car to pass, whatever comes first. For about 20 minutes, nothing. Then, in my side mirror, I saw headlights come over the rise behind me, a long way back. I was relieved at first. Someone was coming, but the headlights slowed as they got close, and instead of passing me, the vehicle I picked up pulled onto the shoulder and stopped right behind me. It didn't pull up next to my window like someone checking if I was okay. It stopped a good 40 feet back behind me. So what I did, I stayed inside while my doors was locked, and then the headlights turned off. And in the sudden dark, I watched the driver's door of the pickup open, and a man stepped out. He didn't call me out, didn't ask if I need help, didn't say a word. He just started walking slowly towards my car. Along the driver's side, where I was sitting, every instinct I had lit up all at once. I laid my horn on. Over and over, this blaring noise across all those empty fields, the only thing I had. Then he stopped, and I did the only other thing I could think of. I picked up my dead phone and I held it to my ear, and I started talking loudly, nodding, saying, "Yeah, they said they are 4 minutes out. They are almost here," loud enough to carry through the glass, performing a phone call to state a trooper who did not exist. The man stood there in my side mirror for what felt like an hour. Then he turned around, walked back to his car, got in, and drove past of me without slowing down. I never saw his face, and about 40 minutes later, an actual truck driver stopped, an older guy who stayed parked in front of me with his lights on until my dad arrived. When I told him what happened, he didn't think I was overreacting. He told me that a man who wanted to help pulls up beside you and asks if you are alright, but a man who bucks behind you in the dark, kills his light and walks up on your blind side without a word is not coming to help. I think the horn and the fake phone call are the only reasons I made it back home. The next one is much worse, because the danger came disguised as exactly the help I was praying for. I had blown a tire on interstate or ramp late at night. I had blown a tire on interstate or ramp late at night in an area I didn't know, and I'm not great with jack. So I was standing there in the dark trying to figure it out when a car pulled over and a man got out and offered to change it for me, and he seemed great and friendly and called me ma'am. He crouched right down and got to work on the tire. And I remember feeling so relieved and so guilty for the flash of fear I'd felt when he first pulled up. We made a small talk while he worked, and the small talk is where it started to go wrong. He asked where I was headed. Then he asked if there where I was lived, and he asked if I lived alone. And when I hesitated, he glanced up to me from the tire and asked it again, like he really wanted the answer. He asked again if anyone was expecting me tonight. He asked very casually whether my phone was about to die, because he'd noticed I kept checking it. And then, while he was tightening the last lag nut, not even looking at me, he said, "You know, you really shouldn't be out here by yourself. Anything could happen to a girl like you." Something about the way he said it turned my blood to ice water. It wasn't concern. It was a man telling me a rules of a game I hadn't agreed to play. The tire was done. He stood up wiping his hands, and he was between me and my car door open. And he wasn't moving, and he asked if he could follow me for a while just to make sure I got home safe. I said my husband was actually tracking my location and calling me in a minute, which was a lie. I wasn't even married. I said it fast, and I stepped around him and got and hit the locks. He stood outside my window, and for a second his friendly face was just gone, turned to blank, looking at me through the glass. Then it came back, the smile, and then he waved and said, "Drive safe," and got in his car. I pulled out, and he pulled out right behind me, and he followed me for 11 miles. I did not go home. I drove up to a 24 hours gas station with a lot of people in it, and I pulled up right up to the doors and I went inside and told the clerk. And by the time I looked back out, he was gone. I sat in the gas station until the sun came up. He changed my tires. He was kind and helpful and good with his head. And I am completely certain that if I had let him follow me home or accepted one more minute of his help, I would not be here to tell you this. The last one doesn't have an explanation. The two friends who were with me in the car remember it exactly the way I do, which is the only reason I know I didn't imagine it. 3 of us, driving back from a concert, a long dark rural route, none of us knew. And a little after 2 in the morning, the car just quit. No warning, no red lights. The engine simply cut out and we rolled to stop on the shoulder of the road with woods bracing right up against both sides. No signal on any of our phones. We figured we'd wait for a car, but no cars came, not one, for over an hour, which should have told us something about how far off the normal roads we'd gotten. We were sitting there with the interior light on when my friend in the back said quietly, "There is something standing in the trees." And there was, on the passenger side, back in the tree line, maybe 30 feet off the road, there was a tall figure standing among the trunks. Just standing, facing the car. We couldn't make out a face or clothes, just a dark shape that was person-shaped and much too tall and completely still. We told ourselves it was a trick of the shadows. A dead tree, a fence passed, so my friend flicked the light to prove it. The road ahead lit up, and the figure was gone from the trees, but it was standing in the road, 40 feet in the front of our car, in the middle of the lane in a full beam of headlight, and it had crossed 30 feet of woods and ditch in half a second. The lights were off, without a sound, and now it was facing us head on. It was too tall, its arms too long, its proportions wrong in a way my brain refused to accept, so nobody breathed. If you made it this far, please support me by pressing that like button and subscribe button. And drop a comment telling me which story was your favorite and which roads you will never set a foot in. And sleep tight.